Thank you. So my talk is about how to build a sustainability studio in the games industry. And the short answer is you can't. Right? I mean, nobody gets into the games industry thinking, oh, I'm gonna get really, really rich, right? You don't like create a game studio and think, you know, it's a classic, you know, smart business decision, right? We make games because we love making games, you know? We want to create worlds. We want to bring our own special, unique ideas to life. So, okay, how do you build a sustainable studio? So, I've got a few pieces of advice for those of you, who want to create your own games and earn a living. First is be realistic, okay? It's never been easier to make games, and this means there's thousands of mobile games coming out every day. There's hundreds of games coming out of Steam all the time, and a lot of them are crap, yeah? A lot of them are derivative. Some of them are good, but there's tons of really great games, and both, AAA games and indie games. And you're competing against all of that, okay? So it's never been easier to make games, but it's never been harder to make a living. And you're competing against all these other games for people's time and attention and money. So be realistic. I prepared this beautiful diagram to be able to talk about games from a financial point of view. Games roughly fall into 4 possible categories. The first, most games lose money, okay? So enough money that you go afterwards and say, maybe I shouldn't have made that game. A bunch of games break even, quote unquote. We'll go into that a little bit later. Some make that 10 times profit, and I think that's what a lot of us are aiming for or hoping for. And finally, there's that Minecraft category that nobody in this room is going to make. I'm not going to make, you guys are not going to make it. If it happens, awesome, but it shouldn't be in your plans, okay? But even making that 10 times profit, that's really, really hard, okay? What are the odds you're going to make a game that makes 10 times the cost? I think a lot of us secretly dreamed that we're going to do that. Yeah, I know I have. When I got into the industry, it was like, World of Goo and Braid and Super Meat Boy. I'm like, I can make something that good, right? Like, if I really, really work hard, maybe I'll get lucky and maybe I'll make that money and I'll build all my studio ideas around that plan. Am I the only one who has these secret dreams? No. Okay. It's unrealistic to look at highly successful games and think you're going to succeed like them, okay? It ignores all the hard work they did. It ignores, they made amazing games, they created awesome marketing stories and campaign, and they were at the right place at the right time on the right platforms. There's an element of luck, okay, as well, on top of all the hard work. So can you do all that right off the bat, like as your first game? I think it's aimed at people getting into the industry. So you can't do that, so what do? You should plan for failure. And I'm not trying to be an ass, I'm just trying to be honest. Like, build it into your business plan. Don't plan for success. If you get successful, that's awesome, and you got tons of extra money, and you can make that super dream game, that universe simulator you always wanted to make. That's awesome, go do that. But realistically, you should plan for failure. And what does that mean? My second piece of advice is build a portfolio of games. Being sustainable long-term as a game studio means producing a lot of games and building up your portfolio and increasing the chance that you're going to make that hit game. I want to point you to this article by Dan Cook. It's called Minimum Sustainable Success. It goes into a lot more details, and it's a scary article. But you should absolutely read it if you want to earn a living in the games industry making your own games. It's very sobering, and it also offers a lot of useful advice. So You can follow that link. And he's got nice charts and all that. One of the points he makes is that if you're a good developer, okay, it's going to take you about 10 games to make your big hit. You have a 10% chance. And of course that varies depending on which market you're in and what you're doing, but you need to get to 10 games. So it's not enough just to break even on the other games, right? Like, you need to make enough to cover your cost of that game, plus to cover your cost of making the next game. Because, even if you got a publishing deal, you're trying to hit those deadlines, you're stressed out, you're maybe crunching, and you want to get in on time, and you're going to release that game, and you're going to have zero money left. So, either be realistic up front and plan for that, or deal with the reality at the end, which you're going to have to do inevitably. When your game comes out, and more likely than not, it's not going to make any profits, and you're going to have to close your studio or find contract work under stress to take a shitty deal. So, how do you deal with that? Again, fail fast and fail often. So it means make games faster, or at least prototype them faster. Okay? I think I'm guilty of this, and maybe some of you are also guilty of this. Is on focusing on just one idea and be like, this is it. It's not smart. You have to iterate, you have to prototype, you have to build up your tools and your experience so you can make games, better games, faster. The faster you can try out ideas, the faster you can just start them, or the faster you can stumble upon the one that's going to make you successful. Don't do what I did, which is spend 2 years making a mobile game. It's not smart. So earlier I mentioned that it's easier than ever to make games, and so it means there's tons of competition, but as an indie, it's not a zero-sum game. Like, you're not really competing against everybody else, you're competing against yourself. So the tools help you to prototype games faster, so I actually think it's a bit of an advantage. Alright, third piece of advice is to find your niche. Both as a games company, like, you're building up your portfolio, try to build up a brand or find a certain genre or art style or thing that makes your games uniquely you, so that you can build a community, build a following, and market each new game to them and grow that user base. Again, don't be stupid like me, first make a mobile game and then shift into VR. Yeah. Find a niche also personally and professionally. So if you're starting out in the industry, find something you enjoy, and maybe you're good at, and then get really good at it. Go deep into that subject, learn as much as you can, practice. Also stay knowledgeable of the areas around that. Become like a T-shaped person. If you guys know what that means, just Google it. And if you are working in the games industry, make the most of that time. Go to the people who are more senior than you, more experienced than you, and learn from their experience, because you gotta practice and you gotta learn. The faster you get good at what you can do, the better you can stand out later on. Next point is, so it's again about planning for failure, right? You're making games that are not gonna make enough money for you to live off of, okay? So how do you deal with that? The easiest or the most obvious thing is to do contract work or to work for other people. So you're trading your time for money, right? The idea is to earn money selling your time and your skills so that you can fund your games, pay for art assets, pay for audio and for publishing and whatever. To maximize this, I recommend that you look outside the games industry, because the games industry pays shit, okay? Take the skills you've developed and use them to earn money. If you're a programmer, it's super easy. In Munich, there's the bank industry, there's the car industry. Like, the things you learn making games make you a good talent for those big corporate worlds where you just burn money. If you're an artist, it's a little bit tougher. You'll find digital agencies. If you find an area you become really talented in, then you can stand out from the other people and then you can charge a higher rate. If you're a designer, you're kind of fucked. You should go talk to Alex Zahar, he has some ideas on that. but again, just become an expert in an area. That's a side point I want to make. If you do work for a games company, because it's understandable, you either want to use it to pay your bills, or you love making games and you're earning money from that. Please, please, please don't crunch for other people, okay? Crunch for yourself, okay? Crunch is really stupid. Like, why would you crunch for somebody else, right? You do your 9 to 5, you do your job, you get paid. If you really, really want to crunch on your own ideas. Go home and make your games. You know, one of the advice or strategies that Dan Cook offers is treat game making as a hobby. It's a possibility, right? And I'm extremely proud that so far nobody crunches in my studio except for me, but they're my ideas, so it's a trade-off I make. Right, so once more, be realistic, be honest with yourself, right? Be honest with other people, especially if you're taking other people's money. Build a portfolio, so fail fast and fail often. Increase the chance of making a hit. Find your niche, both as a company as a person. And maximize your income by considering going outside the game industry if you're going to do contract work. Finally, if you want to help me build a sustainable studio, please go buy my games. Thank you to Robin and Chris for this opportunity to share my thoughts and rant a little bit. And thanks to all of you for listening.